I got a text from my grandson last week that I had to read 4 times and still didn't understand a word of it. And for a second, I felt old. Not 60-something old, foreign old, like the culture had quietly moved to a different country without telling me. So I did some digging, talked to some of the grandkids, watched more TikTok than I'll ever admit to. And what I found out actually surprised me, because it's not what most people my age assume. Here's the thing nobody tells you plainly. Gen Z didn't grow up like we did, and it isn't because they're lazy or fragile or glued to a screen out of laziness. They grew up watching the 2008 recession wreck their parents' finances. They went through school shooter drills the way we went through fire drills. They hit young adulthood right as a pandemic locked the whole world in their bedrooms for 2 of the most social years of their lives. That's not an excuse for anything. It's just context. And context changes how you read a person. So instead of a lecture about kids these days, I want to walk you through 5 things about this generation that, once you understand them, actually make your grandkids, or the young folks at church, or the new hire at your son's company, a whole lot less confusing. This one drove me crazy for the longest time. I'd call my granddaughter, it'd ring out, and 20 seconds later, I'd get a text. Not because she was avoiding me. Turns out, to her generation, an unscheduled phone call feels the way an unscheduled visit to our front door would have felt to our mothers. A little intrusive, a little alarming, like something must be wrong. Texting first isn't rudeness. It's their version of calling ahead. Try this. Text before you call, even just, got a minute to talk. You'll be amazed how much faster they pick up. Our generation didn't really have words for half of what we felt. You were tired. You were stressed. Maybe if it got really bad, you were having a hard time. Nobody said anxiety or burnout out loud at the dinner table. Gen Z says it plainly, and a lot of us hear that as weakness or oversharing or main character syndrome. But most of the time, they're just naming something we were taught to swallow. It's not softer. It's more honest. And honestly, I wonder sometimes what my own life would have looked like if I'd had the words for it too. A lot of us build our whole identity around our jobs. Showed up early, stayed late, never complained, because that's what a good worker did. And in exchange, the company took care of you. This generation watched that deal get broken. They watched parents get laid off after 20, 30 years of loyalty with a cardboard box and a handshake. So when a 24-year-old says, "I'm not answering emails after 6 p.m., that's not laziness. That's a kid who did the math on what loyalty actually got their parents and decided to protect something we never learned to protect: themselves. I'm not going to pretend Riz is a word I'll ever use without feeling ridiculous. But here's what changed my mind about the slang entirely. Every generation has done this. We had groovy. We had far out. Our parents thought that was the end of the English language, too. You don't have to speak fluent Gen Z. You just have to stop treating their words like proof that something's broken. It's not broken. It's just a dialect, same as every generation invents one. This is the one that actually broke my heart a little once I understood it. We complain rightfully about our own loneliness after 60, the phone that doesn't ring, the family that's scattered. But somehow this generation, wired together every minute of every day, reports feeling lonelier than almost any generation before them. turns out 500 followers isn't the same as one friend who shows up with soup when you're sick. They have more connection than we ever had, technically, and less of the kind that actually holds you up. If there's one thing our generations genuinely have in common, it might be that. We both know what it's like to be surrounded and still feel alone. I'm not going to tell you Gen Z has it all figured out. They don't. And they'd probably be the first to admit it. But I've stopped needing them to talk like me, work like me, or grieve like me in order to respect what they're carrying. They didn't inherit an easy world, and the least we can do at our age with everything we've lived through is meet them halfway instead of writing them off as soft. Besides, somebody's going to be picking out my nursing home one day. Might as well stay on their good side. If you've got a grandkid or a great-grandkid or even just a young coworker your family talks about like they're a foreign species, tell me in the comments, what's one thing about their generation you've actually come to respect once you looked a little closer?